welcome to the show. Happy New Year. Yeah, even though we're like in the third week of 2024, it's always exciting to be here. This is Bring It in the House podcast show where we spotlight musicians, entertainers, artists, and leaders. I'm your host, Millie Mills. And we have a wonderful, wonderful guest in the house tonight, award winning saxophonist, musician, Mr. Marcus Click. Woo!
Thank you very much. Thank you, Millie.
You're very, very
Uh,
welcome, Marcus.
a
Thank you
pleasure.
so
Thank you for
much.
having
Thanks for stopping by, man. I know you have a busy schedule, but you managed to come on in, come
me.
on in and
Yes,
talk with us. Yeah. So,
indeed.
hey, if you guys just tuning in, you don't want to miss this one. It's going to be a great, great show. Now,
Mhm.
Marcus, tell us where you're from. We always like to start out the show with giving a shout out to your hometown, your alma mater. And so you're from Louisville, right?
Yes, Louisville, Kentucky, the bluegrass state, and the city of where Muhammad Ali grew up.
Okay. See,
Yeah,
I didn't know
most
that.
definitely.
See, you always learn something new when you have a guest
Hmm.
on the show. I didn't know that. Man, you have done so many things. I was looking over your bio and everything. Now early on, you were thinking about playing pro football, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so we got a picture here of you in your early days. Ah.
Yeah, that's me in high school.
Nothing but legs, right? What position did you play?
I played wide receiver.
Wide receiver.
Yeah, I like
Okay.
to run and catch the ball.
Wide receiver. Yeah.
That was my main position. Yes.
So what made you turn? What made you pivot from your interest as a pro football player to a musician?
Well, to make a long story short, most
Hmm.
kids growing up they aspire to be a pro athlete at some level. Uh, and although my family, our background is basketball.
Oh.
My father, the late Robert Graves, he's a legend in Louisville, my hometown, for
Hmm.
high school basketball, and so he's in the Kentucky Athletic Hall of Fame. But I wanted to play football because I watched it probably more than basketball. And then, you know, I guess growing up, I was taller than everyone. But then I guess later on in high school, I stopped growing and everybody passed me up. So, and then they were saying in Pot Run, oh, you can't do this. You're too small. Da, da, da. Actually, that just fueled me. So I was, yeah, I was, hey, you tell me I can't do something, I'm ready to prove you wrong. So,
Yeah.
uh, I like going against the odds, and so and I loved it. Yeah, I watched so many games and great players, and met some of them growing up. And but to pivot and go to music, well, music actually was there. I would say before football. I started out in elementary school, and how that got started. Well, I give credit to my mom because she used to play music all the time around the house. You know,
Yeah.
uh, Grover Washington Jr. You name it. I mean, I can't remember all the some of the people she used to play, but I remember Grover. And what influenced me really was, like I said, I started in grade school. I think about second, third grade, and I started in the woodwinds class for flute. But I didn't really want to play the flute, so I was watching this contestant on the Miss America pageant, and she was playing the saxophone, and uh,
Hmm.
and then the fact that I like Grover's music, uh,
Really?
Grover and David Sanborn and some others. Uh, I went back to a music class one day, and I was kind of shy, so I waited till everyone left the classroom, and I asked
Hmm.
the teacher, "Is it possible I could change instruments?" He said, "Well, what is it?" So he gave me a piece of chalk, no
Hmm.
dry erase, so it was chalk. So back then, date myself. So I drew what I thought was an alto, And he figured it out. He said, "Oh yeah, the alto." And so I said, "Yeah, that's it." And because I couldn't remember the name after I saw it on TV, and so the rest is history. I started out, changed instruments. Thankfully, my mother hadn't purchased the flute yet,
Yeah,
and
that's
so
good.
yeah, so I got the alto, um, and just went through elementary school band, did concerts and that type of thing. I played through middle school. Uh, I really enjoyed it, but and actually, I became in middle school. I was second chair alto, so I was advancing up.
Yeah.
But I got into football around that time too, and I started playing, Pop Warner and that type of stuff, and went on to high school. But then put the saxophone down. Years later, came around, joined the Navy, got turned on to jazz when I was in the Navy, early in the Navy, and the older gentleman turned me on to some smooth jazz. I didn't know
Right.
what smooth jazz was. I mean, I just heard guys playing the horn.
Mhm.
But that was like a 3 year period. I was stationed in Japan on the USS Midway, and I got
Mhm.
turned on after actually, yeah, there it is. Oh gosh, I was about 18 years old on that
Yeah,
picture.
very handsome. Very
Thank you.
handsome. It's nice. Mhm.
So I was
And
about
you
eight,
did,
huh?
I didn't mean to interrupt, but you did what, about 13 years in the military?
I did 11 active duty and 2 reserves. So yeah, about 13 years. And that's another story. I just felt like it was time to thank you. I just felt
Mhm.
like it was time to move on to something else. I didn't want to go overseas and travel away from home, away from family, and go to
Yeah.
war, and you just never know if you're gonna make it back. And I just didn't. I got tired of having those kind of thoughts, and because I
Mhm.
experienced things out at sea, which is another
Mhm.
thing, another story, which were tragic and sad, and stuff that even made the headlines. I think back before I came home in '90, I think our ship had an explosion on it, and claiming some lives, and yeah, so that was devastating. And thankfully, I was about to leave at that time, but
Mhm.
from the Navy, I got turned on to jazz. A lot has happened during this time period.
Mhm.
Older
Mhm.
gentleman turned me on to some Spyro Gyra, Najee, you name it, the Yellow Jackets, uh, Gerald Albright, and etc. And then when I left Japan, I got back to the States, and I asked my twin brother, Mark, at the
Uh-huh.
time, he was in the Navy. We were stationed in Pensacola together, and he went back to Kentucky, our hometown, Louisville. And I said, bring my saxophone back. So my mom still had my alto from grade school. It's here with me now. I don't really play it, but sometimes I might mess around on it. And so,
Oh.
yeah, so he brought it back to Florida, uh, and I picked it up. I was rusty. I was rusty, and but I was turned on to jazz. I was intrigued. So what I did was I started taking lessons again in music
Okay.
classes, and so to kind of get it back, and
Yes.
believe it or not, it was like riding a bike. I kind of
Mm-hmm.
was getting the
Mm-hmm.
hang of it, but then
Yeah.
along the way, I didn't know I had a gift of playing by ear because I learned music by sheet music, you know,
Yeah, in
and so
school.
right,
Mm-hmm.
so uh, so I began to do small functions for free.
Yeah.
I played at fashion shows. I did church events,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a
Mm-hmm.
solo or so, a song at an outreach or what have you. And then I was getting better, but I wasn't still at the professional level sounding, musician. So
Mm-hmm.
start meeting a lot of people in the music industry, other artists, and I would go to concerts and study the saxophonist, and
Mm-hmm.
so that really kind of really piqued my interest in even more. Then when people started telling me I should get serious, I was like, serious? What do you mean?
Mm-hmm. That's that confirmation that you
Yeah, yeah.
good. You need to
So
go forward.
yeah, I was put on spot in church to do solos and like nervous as I don't know what. And gosh, and that's really how I got to start playing on a regular basis in church. So from that, I started doing more functions and getting invited to events and whatnot. So then years later, fast forward, I started, I think it was around 2006 or 7 or 8 or somewhere around there, early 2000s. I met a guy named Joseph Urio. Uh, I got some advice, first of all, because I met Nelson Rangel, and he was like, I met him after the concert, and he was like, "You sound like you're a musician at the crossroads." Because I said, "Well, what do you do to practice, and how do you get better?" And so he told me to hire the best musician in Jacksonville and pay him. And so he said, "Go to your local college." And so I went to called the Dean of Music at two of the universities here, Jacksonville University and University of North Florida. And they gave me a guy named Joseph Urio. I come find out he had toured with Peebo Bryson and some other artists. Yeah. And so we met and we had lessons every weekend for an hour and, maybe a little longer once a week. Then he gave me homework every week. And then I'd meet with him on the weekend. And for about a year and a half, we would meet. Either he come to my house or I'll go where on campus or wherever his place was, where he conducted lessons. So from there, I had also met a gentleman named Mel Holder, uh, another saxophonist, uh, inspirational and smooth jazz artist. And I met him at my church where I was attending when everything started to happen. And he happened to be in town for a conference. And it's funny because at that time I had purchased his cassette tape.
Mm-hmm.
Cassette tape. So I don't know if you got that, but
wow. Yeah. I tried not to say anything.
so I purchased this tape, loved it. I said, I like this. And so ended up meeting him. And because the lady, one of our musicians in the church band at the time, told me, you ought to come back. Mel Holder's going to be here in concert. I said, who? Mel Holder. You never heard of him? I said, oh, okay. So I showed up that night and I saw him getting his saxophone guy, ran up on the stage like it was Christmas or something. And I was so excited to meet him. He didn't know who I was. And so I met him, let him set up, and it was a nice treat because that Sunday service I was able to play with him, and so that was awesome. I mean, compared to now, I was like, ugh. I was okay, I did what I had to do, but it was a treat. And from that point on, we stayed in touch. Actually, one of the songs that we did together on my new CD, Brand New Day, is me and Mel produced it, but Higher Ground, the Stevie Wonder classic. So right,
Yeah.
so that's on my CD. Check it out.
Wow, we gotta check it out.
Yeah, everybody out there, check it out.
Okay, and I want to just pause there for a minute because you got a lot of people tuning into the show, and we always like to recognize those who are viewing. Linda Jackson in Arkansas, my classmate, she's in there. Your publicist Desiree,
Hey,
Arius Heard he's in Phoenix. So a lot of people are checking. William Coleman, he's in the Atlanta, Georgia area. So we thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you.
awesome.
But yeah, I was looking on YouTube and I found your single "Brand New Day," and so you got to tell us a little bit about it because I know it debuted tell us, is it number one for the number one spins on the smooth jazz charts?
Right, that single debuted number one on actually the most spins added from radio on Billboard.
On Billboard,
Yeah,
yes.
Billboard. And so that song actually was produced by Jonathan Fritzen. You familiar with Jonathan Fritzen? I met him through his former manager, Bruce Marble, which I found out only lives 30 minutes from me in St. Augustine, Florida. And that's a story how that happened. And so things start to tie together, and I met Jonathan Fritzen. We
Mhm.
talked and we said, "Hey, let's do a song." And so we came up with "Brand New Day." Well, actually,
Mhm.
he didn't. I named it. He wrote the song and knocked it out of the park. And you know,
Yeah.
so,
All
so
right,
yeah,
guys. Well, let's take a listen to it. Yay, brand new day. Yay! Woo! We didn't
thank
want to
you.
play too much of it because hey, we of course don't want to get into that copyright thing. So, but at least we want the viewers to know what they're missing out on. If you're sleeping on, you haven't heard this super talented, award-winning saxophonist musician Marcus Click, then hey, there it is. You need to go to his YouTube channel or go to his website. He's got a lot of information there. Let me put that YouTube. Your website up there. Here we go. Check him out, marcusclick.com. There you go. You can find out more about Marcus and all his great works and performances and so much more. I don't want to cut into where we were at that time, but you were telling us about that single there, Brand New Day, and how it all came about, right?
Right, right, right.
Mhm.
It was a great collaboration, and so built a great relationship with him now, and I'm looking forward to doing some more work with him in the future.
Yeah.
Um, also with the album, there's so many great artists and producers that want to support me. Like I said, Mel Holder, William Green, he's out of Atlanta. He used to write for the SOS band, and
Oh.
yeah, he's a keyboardist. But we did 3 songs on the project. We did what did we do? Morning Joy, the first song. We
Yeah.
released that to radio January 8th. We did
Mhm.
what else? Follow Your Heart. It's a ballad, number 10 on the CD.
Mhm.
And what else did we do? We did another song. Uh, Bear with me. Together We Stand.
Together we stand.
It's a great song too. And that
Mhm.
song came about during the pandemic. Well, actually, I worked on the entire album uh, during the pandemic, but Together We Stand was released kind of like right in that period as a single.
Wow. That's amazing how all of that came about. Oh my gosh. And I was reading, all the greats that you worked with. This album is just full of super talented musicians. I mean, how did it feel? Because a lot of them are like Grammy Award winners and nominated Dove Awards, Stella Awards. Ah,
Yeah,
oh,
Mel Holder, my mentor, he is a Dove Award and Stellar Award finalist, Grammy nominee, also a Billboard chart topping artist. Roger Ryan, he's a multi Grammy nominee. Actually, he just tells me just say multiple. I
yeah.
saw his Grammy nominations in his studio when we recorded On the Inside. Check that out. He's out of Nashville, so I actually flew up to Nashville and we recorded that song in one night, or actually a day, I would say. And then next morning I was on back to Jacksonville. So the song turned out very nice. He has 8 Grammy nominations.
8.
Yes, he's worked with some top artists.
I
You should have to
see.
Google and check him out. But yeah.
8. Well, that's going to be you pretty soon. That's going to be you pretty soon.
Hey, I feel like I'm close. So,
Yeah,
so
you're rubbing shoulders, and working with some, when you're in that type of company, you can't help but, those blessings, all that to spill over on you. So it's
hey,
coming.
I received that, and just a matter of time. I'm patient. I don't dwell on it. I just keep grinding and enjoy what I'm doing.
That's it.
And I believe everything else will fall in place.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's good to hear you say enjoy, because a lot of times we want to get to the end before it's over. Before we even begin, we're worried about getting all the big awards, and we forget to enjoy the process.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
enjoy the journey along the way. So it's good to hear you say that. And so you're a very busy man, with all your tour dates. I saw your performance dates from last year, and you got a lot of dates coming up this year. And, you have a beautiful family. So how do you juggle it all? Tell us the secret.
Well, um, you know, my sons were the priority, and one thing I gotta be realistic and also
Oh,
when they were much smaller, I was aspiring to really release my album, but uh, I just took my time and asked God, I'll set that aside and take care of my boys, and
yes,
things start
yes.
to fall in place after that, and I would say that I needed to be ready. I wasn't
Uh-huh.
as ready as I thought I was when I wanted to put this CD out. And but now as you see, my tallest son, he's 6'3" now, and the
Hmm.
shorter young fella, Justice, he's about my height almost, and he's just 14. And
Wow.
Marcus is 19, and they play basketball, and so they're gonna make the NBA, and then hey, I'll retire. No, I'm just I don't put that pressure on them, but
Pressure on them, yeah. Amen.
they're awesome young men, very smart and intelligent. They
Mhm.
get that from their dad. No, man. No, they make good grades in school and
Mhm.
all, and their mom is she was a ball player too. I played football and basketball and track, and their mom played basketball in college as well. So it runs in the family too
In the
on both sides.
family.
So, uh,
Okay.
you know, but aside from that, you had mentioned one thing that also inspired me too was the fact that when I got the award, I won the AMG Instrumentalist of the Year award back in 2019.
That's true.
Right before, actually, was it before the pandemic? Yeah, before the
Yeah,
pandemic,
right before the pandemic.
and that motivated me too. And then the next year is when everything just went crazy, And so I said, well, I'm locked in the house. I might as
Yeah.
well get busy. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so actually, I'm thankful for that. And that, like I said, motivated me. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I see it. Look, there you go. There it is. Oh, congrats.
Yep.
That is the AMG Award.
Right.
Congratulations. Yeah. And that stands for Artist Music Guild Award, right?
Right.
Okay. All right.
So we got
Congrats,
this. Now
man.
it's time for Grammys and such.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. And it's amazing how, well, to me, it seems like your journey's been short, but it might seem longer to you because you're actually in it. But I mean, for you to, really in that short amount of time accomplish so much. Yeah.
Yeah. I I just believe, it was a divine appointment on how things have, destiny, how things have lined up, and how things have been fast forwarded. Um, I believe if our we're doing the right things, we have a good heart behind and good motives, I believe that's when our blessings really start to manifest. But if you're out there trying to do things the wrong way, it's not going to last. It's not going to be sustainable, and it's definitely not going to be something you want to remember or even talk about, because typically it's something that's going to end bad or wrong. So I'm just thankful that God has blessed me and has redeemed the time in areas that or really, destined for me to be a part of. But not only that, because it's my passion, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh, and as much as I want to play pro sports, I'm kind of glad I didn't, because then I might have concussions and broken bones and everything.
You never know. You
But
never
but
know.
but the music inspires people, especially the kids. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and even the parents come up to me after shows and they talk about, hey, my kid is playing saxophone. What kind of pointers can you give me? Or if a kid is there with their parent, depending on the type of venue, I just try to encourage them and recommend they practice, 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 listen, listen, listen,
Yeah.
because that's what was told to me and it works. But you got
Yes.
time in, even when you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
Because there's times when, way before I got serious, that people tell me you need to practice more. I picked the saxophone up for maybe 15, 20 minutes and thought I did something.
Yeah.
But I had to really put some time in, hours. Not all day. You can if you want to, but I don't think it really takes that much. If you're consistent, you're going to develop muscle memory, and if it's your passion, you're going to be driven. You're going to be driven to be successful. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you're going to be a top recording artist. You're just going to get some type of benefit or satisfaction for yourself out of it. And
Yeah.
it used to be therapy for me. I used to play it and
Mhm.
felt good, and that was it.
Yeah.
But then I start playing out public, and that's when I start
Yeah.
thinking about it a little bit more.
You
And
start touching lives. You start
right,
touching
right,
lives.
touching lives, and then I start meeting people like Najee,
Mm-hmm.
and we become good friends over the years, and he's giving me
Oh,
pointers.
I
Um,
love him.
yeah, Marion Meadows, uh, he's giving me pointers. We stay in touch often. Who else? I mean, Bruce Allen. I'm not sure if you remember Allen and Allen, the gospel jazz band, but
No.
he's a keyboard guy, and he encouraged me. He don't know he encouraged me, because I don't want to put him out there like that. But he said something I didn't like when I was growing musically. But
Uh-huh.
what that did was it just propelled me. Okay, I'll prove him wrong. You
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just always been up for a challenge, even when I
Up for
played
a
sports.
challenge. Yeah.
But it was all good, because
Yeah.
he reached out to me recently. Hey, we need to do something together. It wasn't always like that, so
Right, right.
that made me feel good.
Yes. I also read, oh, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I
No,
also read that percussionist, of course, Sheila E. kind of encouraged you as well.
yes.
Yeah.
Um, when email started happening, no, it was out for a while, but I emailed her one time and she responded and gave me some pointers, uh,
Hmm.
and it really stuck with me. She said, "Just remember, it's not always how good you are. It's if there's auditions or cattle calls, they call it, used to call it, try to get in one an audition, uh, and it's who you know a lot of
Yeah.
times too. So that really encouraged me, and so when I would go to concerts, like I said, I would check musicians out and yeah, I enjoyed it. But then I would go home and try to rehearse what they did.
Yeah.
But I needed to know what it was and how they did it, and just it's just so much behind the instrument than just making noises, because you got different patterns, scales, and uh, just a lot of work. And a lot of people take musicians for granted. They don't realize how much work is put into it and their craft, and yet some promoters don't want to pay. Uh, you know, but I think over time, if you really dedicate yourself, it'll pay off.
It'll
Uh,
pay
it
off.
just takes
Yeah.
time and perseverance.
Amen.
Yeah.
Guys, we're out of time. We're out of time. I told you it was going to go quick. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah. We had a great time and we really appreciate everyone for tuning in. Thank you so much, Marcus. Any last words, any shout outs or anything you want to do before we go? I
Uh,
got to give you that.
shout out to all the people who joined, supporting me. I appreciate your continued support. Uh, Spread the word. Brand new day.
Brand new day.
There's, new stuff will be coming out soon. I won't say when, but this is still hot off the press. Just was released last May, and we're still promoting singles on radio. Uh, and my new calendar will be up on marcusclick.com. I do have some upcoming dates. I'm going to be in Athens, Georgia, February 25th at Hotel Indigo. I'm doing 2 shows. The first show's at 6:30. The second one's at 7:45. Then I have a Florida tour coming up in Miami, March 8th, and Sarasota, Florida, March 10th. And we have some more dates coming out too soon that I cannot announce at the moment. But I'm going to be in Baltimore. Stay posted. I'm going to be in Kentucky. I'm going to be in Texas coming up. So stay tuned. I love you. God bless. And I appreciate your support. And you need to follow me on Spotify.
I got you. I got you locked in. We all got you locked in, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, this, of course, is the award winning Marcus Click. We thank you so much for stopping by and sharing your wisdom and time with us. We love you and we pray that you continue with your success. God
Thank you very
bless.
much. Thanks for
Okay.
having me.
You're welcome. Bye bye.